Chapter 2806, All Dead? The three major celestial sects of the wasteland had each sent 3 violet sun-golden celestials below the age of 100 to enter the little world. The 3 shattered soul pearls belonged to the 3 who were sent by the Thousand Spiders celestial sect. Upon seeing this, the elders from the Thousand Spiders celestial sect began to discuss among themselves. All of them furtively looked at the people from the Tai celestial sect and the martial dragon celestial sect as though their people had really killed the people from the Thousand Spiders celestial sect. What happened? Is it a coincidence? However, isn't it strange that those who died were all from a Thousand Spiders celestial sect? Indeed, it's strange. Is it possible that 9 of them encountered the same treasure or chance inheritance and fought over it? Maybe 2 groups joined forces to kill off the 3rd group? You're saying the 6 violet sun-golden celestials from the Tai celestial sect and the martial dragon celestial sect worked together to kill the 3 violet sun-golden celestials from a Thousand Spiders celestial sect? Yes. Tai, the former left guardian and current supreme elder of the Tai celestial sect, sneered when he heard the discussion in his surroundings. Don't talk nonsense when you have no evidence to support your words. After all, it's possible that the 3 from the Thousand Spiders celestial sect were just really unlucky to have died at the same time. The elders from the Thousand Spiders celestial sect fell silent, unable to refute Tai's words. After all, they really had no evidence to support their words. Time passed silently. In just a blink of an eye, half a month had passed. Over the past 15 days, the elders from the Thousand Spiders celestial sect were anticipating the deaths of the violet sun-golden celestials below the age of 100 from the Tai celestial sect and the martial dragon celestial sect. It was a blow to them that the 6 young powerhouses from the other 2 sects were still alive. After all, the longer they stayed in there, coupled with the fact that they were the first to be sent in, gave them an advantage. The young powerhouses might have found several treasures by now. It was even possible that they had found a king-grade celestial weapon. Damn it. The 6 violet sun-golden celestials from the Tai celestial sect and the martial dragon celestial sect whom we sent in first are still alive. They've been in there for more than 1.5 months now. I'm sure they've found a lot of treasures. I wonder if any of them has found a king-grade celestial weapon? A king-grade celestial weapon? Impossible. King-grade celestial weapons are so precious, I don't think it'd be lying around all over the place even in a little world left behind by a celestial king. I agree. All of a sudden, the expression of an elder from the Tai celestial sect changed drastically. On his palm, a newly shattered soul pearl could be seen. Wang Bin is dead? Another elder from the Tai celestial sect asked with wide eyes. Wang Bin? Isn't he the young man whom you accepted as a disciple 2 months ago? Yes. The first Tai celestial sect's elder who had spoken nodded. His expression turned grimmer and grimmer as he said, after accepting him as my disciple, I asked for his soul pearl. I didn't expect him to die 2 weeks after entering the little world. Although he might not be as strong as the 9 violet sun-golden celestials whom we first sent in, his strength could still be considered as among the top. The other Tai celestial sect's elder mumbled in shock. It seems like strength isn't everything in the little world. Luck matters a lot as well. After all, there are many who are weaker than Wang Bing who are still alive. At this time, someone from the martial dragon celestial sect replied, that's not necessarily true. After all, we don't have all the soul pearls of the violet sun-golden celestials who went in later. We don't even know if they're dead. Although the violet sun-golden celestials below the age of 100 had joined the 3 major celestial sects of the wasteland, only a few were accepted as disciples of high-ranking officials of the sects. Most of them who were not accepted as disciples could only rely on the superior cultivation environment and resources to get stronger to stand out and become disciples of high-ranking officials from the sects in the future. For this reason, not many of the high-ranking officials from the 3 major celestial sects had the soul pearls of these young powerhouses. Regardless, someone from the Tai celestial sect is dead. Some of the elders from the Thousand Spiders celestial sect could not help but gloat when they heard someone from the Tai celestial sect had died. However, before they could take pleasure in the Taiyi celestial sect's misfortune for long. The expression of another elder from the Thousand Spiders celestial sect changed drastically as he cried out in horror, "Lise!" A shattered soul pearl could be seen on his palm as well. It was obvious Lise was his disciple. Lise isn't Lise ranked 11th among the Violet Sun Golden Celestials in the Wasteland Grand Contest. He's quite strong, and yet, he died as well. Lise is much stronger than Wang Bin. I didn't expect this. The little world is more dangerous than it seems. Even a Violet Sun Golden Celestial's survival isn't guaranteed in there. With another death of the Violet Sun Golden Celestial, the expressions of the high-ranking officials from the three major celestial sects of the Wasteland turned grim. At this time, they finally realized how dangerous and deadly the little world was. Another 15 days passed. To those in the Devata realms, this time passed in just a blink of an eye. Over the course of the past 15 days, the three major celestial sects of the Wasteland had lost more and more Violet Sun Golden Celestials. However, the 6 out of 9 Violet Sun Golden Celestials who were the firsts to be sent in were still alive. Everyone would glance at the 6 remaining soul pearls that were still hovering in the air every once in a while. Suddenly, crack, a crisp sound rang in the air, causing all the people present to tremble for a moment before they looked at the soul pearls in unison. A soul pearl had shattered. It's someone from the Martial Dragon Celestial Sect. Before anything else could be said, crack, 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 crack. 4 crisp cracking noises rang in the air again. The soul pearls of another Violet Sun Golden Celestial from the Martial Dragon Celestial Sect and 3 Violet Sun Golden Celestials from the Taiyi Celestial Sect had shattered. Currently, out of the 9 people who were first sent into the little world, only one person, who was from the Martial Dragon Celestial Sect, was still alive. What's happening? Everyone from the Martial Dragon Celestial Sect, except for Chai Kongyu, the sect leader, looked horrified. At this point, apart from the Violet Sun Golden Celestials whose soul pearls they did not have, all but one of the Violet Sun Golden Celestials they had sent into the little world was dead. The only remaining soul pearl belongs to Feng Guang, the Violet Sun Golden Celestial from Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom. Tai He, the former left guardian and current supreme elder of the Taiyi Celestial Sect, said. The people from the Taiyi Celestial Sect lost their composure. All the Violet Sun Golden Celestials they had sent into the little world were dead. On the other hand, the Martial Dragon Celestial Sect still had 1 Violet Sun Golden Celestial. All dead. What's happening? After the deaths of so many Violet Sun Golden Celestials, the people from the 3 major celestial sects of the Wasteland finally realized how dangerous the little world was. If they had known this earlier, they would not have allowed the remaining Violet Sun Golden Celestial below the age of 100 to enter the little world. Currently, the only known Violet Sun Golden Celestial who's alive is Feng Guang from the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom. I suppose the other Violet Sun Golden Celestials whose soul pearl we don't have are most likely dead as well. I agree. Even if they're still alive, I don't think they would stay that way for long. I didn't expect the little world to be so dangerous that even Violet Sun Golden Celestials can't stay alive in there. If only we waited longer for the first 9 Violet Sun Golden Celestials to explore the little world before sending the others in. Now, we've lost all the talented Violet Sun Golden Celestials below the age of 100. No. 1 month should be more than enough time for them to explore the little world. No one knew it would be so deadly after all. Fortunately, the great overarching golden celestials from the 3 major celestial sects of the Wasteland are still alive. As the high-ranking officials of the 3 major celestial sects of the Wasteland discussed among themselves, their eyes found their respective sect leaders. 2 soul pearls could be seen hovering next to the sect leaders. The soul pearls belonged to the great overarching golden celestials below the age of 100 whom they had sent into the little world. 100 whom they had. Chapter 2807, Feng Guang's Savior. Since the soul pearls of the great overarching golden celestials younger than 100 years old from the 3 major celestial sects of the Wasteland were still intact, it meant they were still alive even if they were injured. At this moment, The high-ranking officials from the Martial Dragon Celestial Sect and the Thousand Spiders Celestial Sect were all looking at the soul pearls near Beiping, the sect leader of Taiyi Celestial Sect. The Taiyi Celestial Sect's great overarching golden celestials and their chief celestial alchemist, Duan Lingtan, are still alive. There were 2 soul pearls on Beiping's left, and 1 on his left. The 2 soul pearls on his right belonged to the 2 great overarching golden celestials younger than 100 years old who had joined the Taiyi Celestial Sect after the Wasteland Grand Contest, and the soul pearl on his left belonged to Duan Lingtan. As great overarching golden celestials, they're, naturally, stronger than Violet Sun Golden Celestials. Just because the Violet Sun Golden Celestials couldn't survive in the doesn't mean that the great overarching Golden Celestials wouldn't. That's right. The strength of a Violet Sun Golden Celestial is not comparable to the strength of a great overarching Golden Celestial. Places where great overarching Golden Celestials may go freely might be places that can kill Violet Sun Golden Celestials. Yes, although almost all of the Violet Sun Golden Celestials we'd sent in are dead, it's likely that the little world poses no threat to the great overarching Golden Celestials. I wonder how many treasures they've found in there? After bitterly accepting the fact that almost all the Violet Sun Golden Celestials who had entered the little world were dead, the high-ranking officials of the 3 major celestial sects of the wasteland began to look forward to the great overarching Golden Celestials' harvest in the little world. At this moment, they had placed all their hopes on the great overarching Golden Celestials. Inside the little world, the tranquility of a mountain range was marred by an explosion. Flames raged everywhere as though the mountains were volcanoes. The originally green mountain was scorched. All that was left were flames and the smell of smoke permeating the air. Thank you. Above the mountain range that was burning red, an expressionless black-clad young man thanked a beautiful woman. A hint of lingering fear could be seen in his eyes at this moment. The woman wore a thin white robe. Her face looked as though it was personally sculpted by God himself. Every man would be enchanted by her when they first looked at her. She looked seductive, but at the same time, there was a hint of innocence on her face that made her look like a naive young girl. This combination made her look even more attractive. She remained indifferent to the black-clad young man's gratitude. In just a flash, she returned to the side of a purple-clad young man. Don't thank me. If you must thank someone, thank Brother Lingtan. He's the one who asked me to save you. Upon hearing the white-clad woman's words, the black-clad young man shifted his gaze to the purple-clad young man. A hint of gratitude and determination could be seen in his eyes despite the blank expression on his face as he said, Duan Lingtan, I owe you a debt of gratitude. If I, Feng Wujiguang, survive this, I'll definitely repay you. As soon as he finished speaking, he prepared to leave without waiting for the purple-clad young man's response. The purple-clad young man was none other than Duan Lingtan. Seeing Feng Wujiguang was about to leave, he quickly said, if you want to make it out of the little world alive, it's best if you follow us. This little world. I appreciate your reminder. Despite his words, Feng Wujiguang merely paused briefly when he heard Duan Lingtan's words. He did not even give Duan Lingtan a chance to finish his words before he flew away. In just a blink of an eye, he disappeared before Duan Lingtan's eyes. It was not because his speed was too fast for Duan Lingtan, but he had disappeared because he had activated the transporting formation in the little world that would send him to a random place in the little world. With this, it would be difficult for Duan Lingtan to find him. He's gone. Duan Lingtan's expression turned grave when he saw Feng Wujiguang had left before he could even finish speaking. At this moment, he knew it was impossible for Feng Wujiguang to make it out of the little world alive. Brother Lingtan, our effort is wasted on him, Huana said with a frown. We did what we could, the rest is on him. Since we ran into him, we can't just watch as he dies. As for what he wants to do, it's not something we can dictate. Duan Lingtan shook his head and said, even if we want to save him now, we won't be able to find him so easily. Duan Ling Tan and Huana had arrived the moment the mountain range exploded. They saw Feng Wujiguang and the other 5 violet sun golden celestials in danger. However, they had arrived a little too late. They could not save the other 5 violet sun golden celestials. They only managed to save Feng Wujiguang, who was standing the closest to them. The other 5 were swallowed by the fire. The fire had the force of a yellow rank grade overarching golden celestial. Therefore, it was impossible for Feng Wujiguang and the 5 violet sun golden celestials to defend against it. Duan Ling Tan had thought Feng Wujiguang would follow him and Huana after they had saved him. In that case, Feng Wujiguang would have a chance to leave this place alive. Although he did not know Feng Wujiguang well, there was no animosity between them. Since they ran into each other, he was willing to help Feng Wujiguang to leave this place alive. Who knew Feng Wujiguang would leave before he could divulge important information about the little world? Huana nodded after hearing Duan Ling Tan's words. However, it was not certain if she understood his words. Shortly after, Duan Ling Tan and Huana activated the transporting formation and left as well. When they reappeared, they found themselves in a seemingly boundless desert that was being plagued by a flurry of sandstorms at this moment. The weakest of the sandstorm had the force of an indigo sun golden celestial, while the strongest ones had a force equivalent to a yellow rank grade overarching golden celestial. Naturally, these sandstorms posed no danger to Duan Ling Tan and Huana. Duan Ling Tan lifted his arm and retrieved the royal grade celestial weapon, the mystical Yang 9 water chestnut ring. He sighed in disappointment and put it away when he saw that it remained unresponsive. Still no reaction. As it turns out, it's not easy to find the mystical Yang 9 water chestnut ring. Brother Ling Tan, a big guy is hiding underneath the desert. Huana's voice rang in the air just as Duan Ling Tan put the mystical Yang 9 water chestnut ring away. A big guy? Duan Ling Tan was slightly taken aback. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. A gust of cold wind blew out as Huana attacked. It was as though there were thousands of ice dragons charging out before they pierced the ground. The desert fell silent. After 3 breaths, the ground began to quake and rumble. Duan Ling Tan saw the sand stirring beneath him as though there was a powerful earthquake. At the same time, an angry howl reverberated in the air from under the desert. Here it comes, Huana said. Her eyes were focused on the quaking ground. Brother Ling Tan, be careful. The big guy has the strength of an Earth rank great overarching golden celestial like you. Earth rank great overarching golden celestial? Duan Ling Tan's eyes brightened when he heard Huana's words. Up until now, the strongest opponent they faced was only comparable to a yellow rank great overarching golden celestial. It was easy for him to deal with such an opponent without even breaking a sweat. Boom, boom, boom. Suddenly, a series of loud noises thundered in the air. It was as though a giant was walking. Duan Ling Tan saw a gigantic stone man that seemed to be made from black and shiny stones. Its eyes were red. A hint of intelligence could be seen in its eyes, as though it was sentient despite its appearance. Roar! The stone man roared as it looked up at Duan Ling Tan and Huana, who were hovering in the sky. Chapter 2808, The Turquoise Long Whip, a king-grade celestial weapon. Bang! After howling angrily, the stone man flew up into the sky, stirring up the sand and pebbles in its wake. It looked extremely menacing. It raised its right hand before swinging it forward. Whoosh! The stone man's celestial origin energy surged out like an angry dragon toward Duan Ling Tan, causing turbulence in the air. A seemingly casual punch from this stone man is equivalent to the attack of an Earth rank great overarching golden celestial. Moreover, it contains the profundities of a celestial method and divine abilities. This little world left behind by a celestial king is, indeed, remarkable. Upon seeing the stone man's strength, Duan Ling Tan did not dare to take it lightly. His celestial origin energy surged out as he cast his divine abilities and the highest stage of the Supreme Sword Dao mental cultivation method, the Sovereign Heart Sword. He defended himself against the stone man's punch by forming a sword with his celestial origin energy. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. Duan Ling Tan's celestial origin energy formed a sword formation. and it fell like a rain of swords. It landed on the stone man's right hand as though it was trying to restrain it. Based on its strength, I should be able to defeat it without using my celestial weapon. Duan Lingtan thought to himself indifferently as he watched his sword formation land on the stone man's right hand. However, at this moment, a shocking scene appeared before Duan Lingtan's eyes. A blindingly bright turquoise light began to shine from the stone man's right hand and merged with its celestial origin energy before it released an even stronger attack. The attack was even stronger than Duan Lingtan's attack. Rumble, rumble, rumble. After the turquoise energy merged with the stone man's celestial origin energy, its strength skyrocketed to a terrifying level. As its attack swept out, it easily nullified Duan Lingtan's sword formation and continued to head toward Duan Lingtan unimpeded. DM. When Duan Lingtan saw his sword formation was crushed, he belatedly realized that he had been careless. His expression changed drastically. However, it was too late to use the Devatu artifact, the Seven Orifices exquisite sword. Now he did not have time to repel the stone man's attack. I was careless. Duan Lingtan sighed inwardly, dismissing the thought of using the Seven Orifices exquisite sword. Regardless, he did not seem worried or anxious since he knew he was not in any danger. Brother Lingtan! Juana cried out as an icy energy began to ripple out from her body. She looked like an ice queen at this moment. Numerous sabres formed from ice weaved into a web and shielded Duan Lingtan. Boom! The stone man's right arm violently smashed on the sabre web, but it merely made the sabre web tremble slightly. In the next moment, the sabre web shone with a blue light that increased in intensity as time passed. Finally, it surpassed the brightness of the turquoise light and overwhelmed the turquoise light. Rumble, rumble, rumble. A series of noises that sounded like an earthquake rang in the air. The blue light disappeared, revealing the stone man that had been cut into thousands of pieces. As the black stones crumbled, one could see flesh and blood beneath them. It seemed like the stone man was not completely made out of stone. Underneath the black stones, it was clear that it was made out of flesh and blood. Tens of thousands of pieces of meat and intestines flew in the air before they landed on the ground. A gust of wind blew past, stirring up the sand. It did not take long before they settled, and peace was restored. At this moment, Duan Lingtan and Juana's attention was focused on the spot where the stone man was previously standing. A turquoise long whip hovered in the air. Its light seemed to dim with every passing minute. In just a few moments, the light seemed to disappear into the long whip before the long whip began to fall from the air. Whoosh! Juana used her energy to pull the long whip over to Duan Lingtan. Brother Lingtan, this should be a celestial weapon, right? Duan Lingtan took the long whip in his hand, studying it. It was about 3 meters long and was cool to the touch. He was not sure what it was made of. Regardless, it did not stop him from sensing its aura. Indeed, it was a celestial weapon. Moreover, it was a king-grade celestial weapon. A king-grade celestial weapon. Previously, Duan Lingtan had touched a king-grade celestial weapon before. It was the world-cleansing horsetail whisk from the Compassionate Celestial Traveler sect. It was one of the sect's 3 guarding celestial weapons. The aura of the long whip was about the same as the world-cleansing horsetail whisk, and it was slightly weaker than the mystical Yang 9 water chestnut ring. Based on this, Duan Lingtan was certain the long whip was a king-grade celestial weapon. Earlier, the strength of the stone man skyrocketed because it used this king-grade celestial weapon. The way he swung his fist was similar to how one would wield a long whip. Duan Lingtan realized exactly why he had fallen into a disadvantageous position earlier. The stone man's cultivation base was similar to his cultivation base, and its celestial method and divine abilities were not inferior to his as well. Moreover, it possessed a king-grade celestial weapon. It was only natural that the stone was stronger than Duan Lingtan, who did not use his celestial weapon. Naturally, his other celestial weapons would be useless against the stone man. Only the Devatu artifact, the Seven Orifices exquisite sword, that was equivalent to a Duke-grade celestial weapon would enable him to defeat the stone man. Although we did gain some treasures previously, the most precious are only Duke-grade celestial weapons. Who knew destroying the stone man would bring us a king-grade celestial weapon? Duan Lingtan muttered to himself as he stared at the long whip in his hand. Just to obtain a king-grade celestial weapon in this little world, we had to defeat such a formidable opponent. I'm afraid the other 6 great overarching golden celestials won't be able to obtain any king-grade celestial weapons. The 6 great overarching golden celestials younger than 100 years old were only yellow rank grade overarching golden celestials. Although they were given Duke grade celestial weapons by the 3 major celestial sects of the wasteland, their strength was still a far cry from an Earth rank grade overarching golden celestials with a king grade celestial weapon. The latter would only need 1 strike to kill them off. It's a pity this king-grade celestial weapon isn't a sword. It's not useful to me. In comparison, the Duke-grade celestial weapon that I'm currently using, the 7 Orifices exquisite sword, is more useful to me. Duan Lingtan shook his head and handed the long whip over to Huana as he said, "Huana, take it. My celestial methods and divine abilities are sword-based unlike yours that don't have any limitations in regard to weapons. This long whip is a king-grade celestial weapon?" Huana was no longer as ignorant as she was in the past. She knew how powerful a king-grade celestial weapon was. She happily took the long whip in her hands and studied it over and over again. Based on the divine crystal Huana's mother had left for her, it would be no surprise if Huana possessed an extraordinary weapon. However, strangely, her mother did not leave her with any high-grade celestial weapon. After a moment, Huana's eyes darted back and forth between the long whip and Duan Lingtan. A skeptical expression could be seen on her face as she asked, "Brother Lingtan, is this king-grade celestial weapon really useless to you?" You didn't intentionally say that so that you can give it to me, right? Huana, even if I can use this king-grade celestial weapon, it's better for you to have it. Think of how much it would boost your strength. Duan Lingtan shook his head and said, "With it, it won't be difficult for you to help me obtain other king-grade celestial weapons in this little world." Okay. Huana will surely help Brother Lingtan obtain a king-grade celestial sword, Huana said enthusiastically as her eyes brightened. In just a blink of an eye, 6 months had passed since the day Feng Wujiguang and the 8 violet sun golden celestials first entered the little world. Pa! A crisp noise sounded near the entrance of the little world, capturing the attention of all the high-ranking officials in the 3 major celestial sects of the wasteland. Another soul pearl shattered. Is that Feng Wujiguang's soul pearl? Most of them, including those from the martial dragon celestial sect, thought the soul pearl that shattered belonged to Feng Wujiguang. They were shocked when they realized that Feng Wujiguang's soul pearl was intact. Feng Wujiguang's soul pearl is intact? How's that possible? If his soul pearl is fine, then, whose? Shock and disbelief brimmed in their eyes as they shifted their gaze toward the 6 soul pearls near the sect leaders of the 3 major celestial sects of the wasteland. The soul pearls belonged to the 6 great overarching golden celestials younger than 100 years old whom they had sent into the little world. At this moment, they clearly saw that one of the 6 soul pearls had shattered. They saw that one of the 6. Chapter 2809, Insurmountable Obstacles. It's Xufang. Xufang is dead. He's one of the strongest among the 6 great overarching golden celestials we sent in. How? How can he be dead? The faces of the high-ranking officials of the martial dragon celestial sect changed when they saw the soul pearl that belonged to Xufang, one of the 2 great overarching golden celestials they had sent into the little world, had shattered. Xufang was the stronger one among the 2 they had sent into the little world. At this moment, there were only 2 soul pearls left hovering next to Chai Kongyu, the sect leader of the martial dragon celestial sect. He was quite upset by this. After all, the other remaining soul pearl belonged to a mere violet sun golden celestial. In his opinion, even if Feng Wujiguang was still alive, it was only a matter of time before he died. It was likely that Feng Wujiguang was on his last leg. After all, it was so dangerous in the little world that even one of the martial dragon celestial sect's great overarching golden celestials had died. Let alone obtaining treasures, it would be a miracle if Feng Wujiguang, a violet sun golden celestial, could make it out of the little world alive. although none of the great overarching golden celestial younger than the age of 100 from the Taiyi celestial sect and Thousand Spiders celestial sect had died. They were anxious when they discovered Xufang, the great overarching golden celestial from the martial dragon celestial sect, had died. Even a great overarching golden celestial died in there. Xufang is the stronger one among the two great overarching golden celestials whom the martial dragon celestial sect had sent in there. Even Xufang has died. Doesn't this mean the other great overarching golden celestials are in danger as well? Many high-ranking officials from the three major celestial sects of the wasteland were of the opinion that the little world was a trap. This little world that's left behind by a celestial king is dangerous to great overarching golden celestials. Why would the celestial king create this little world then? Is this just a trap? I have similar suspicions as well. A little world that only allows those younger than 100 to enter but is life-threatening to even great overarching golden celestials. If it's not a trap, then the celestial king must have a twisted sense of humor. If we'd known all about this, we would have just left this little world alone. Why bother searching high and low in the wasteland just to find strong powerhouses below the age of 100? That might not be true. An elder from the Thousand Spiders celestial sect said, although a great overarching golden celestial has died, it's possible that he had encountered an insurmountable obstacle. If the other great overarching golden celestials don't meet an insurmountable obstacle, there's a high possibility they would survive. Insurmountable obstacles? Some celestial kings like to leave insurmountable obstacles in the little world they created. Apart from strength, luck plays a big part as well. If that's the case, then, there's a chance the others will survive even though Xufang has died. Upon hearing the words of the elder from the Thousand Spiders celestial sect, many high-ranking officials of the three major celestial sects of the wasteland felt less anxious, and their eyes shone with hope. At this moment, Bai Ping, the sect leader of Taiyi celestial sect, sent a voice transmission to Tai Tai, the supreme elder of Taiyi celestial sect. Do you know where Miss Juana went? I hope Chief Celestial Alchemist Yuan will be able to find or contact her when he comes out. Otherwise, how are we going to explain ourselves? Sect leader, maybe Miss Juana has gone to Taiyi City? Tai Tai he guessed. Taiyi City? That's possible. I'll order those people I sent to the sect's estate to look for her to look in Taiyi City as well. Bai Ping did not waste any time and ordered an elder of Taiyi celestial sect to look for Juana. The elder from the Taiyi celestial sect left after receiving his instructions. Due to the death of a great overarching golden celestial in the little world, the high-ranking officials of the three major celestial sects of the wasteland were too anxious to rest, let alone cultivate. Their eyes were focused on the remaining great overarching golden celestial soul pearls, wondering if Xufang's death was just an accident or if the little world truly posed a threat to great overarching golden celestials. A month passed in just a blink of an eye. The remaining 5 soul pearls were still intact. 2 months passed, and 3 months passed. The soul pearls were still intact. At this time, most of the high-ranking officials from the 3 major celestial sects of the wasteland were no longer as anxious. Now that 3 months had passed, they seemed more certain that Xufang's death was just an accident. It has been 3 months since Xufang's death, but the remaining great overarching golden celestials are still alive. It's likely that Xufang was just unlucky and had met an insurmountable obstacle. I agree. If this is true, then, all of us can relax a little. After a while, the eyes of the high-ranking officials of the 3 major celestial sects of the wasteland turned to Feng Wujiguang's soul pearl. They, naturally, began to discuss this among themselves. It's truly a surprise that Feng Wujiguang from the martial dragon celestial sect is still alive. He must be very lucky. As a violet sun golden celestial, it's a miracle that he has survived so long in there. It's possible that there are other violet sun golden celestials who are just as lucky and are still alive. After all, we don't have the soul pearls of all the violet sun golden celestials who entered the little world. I agree. Since most of their anxiety had been alleviated, they began to rest and cultivate. Half a month passed by. Crack, crack. 2 crisp cracking noises rang in the air. shocking the high-ranking officials from the three major celestial sects of the wasteland. All of them immediately turned to look at the soul pearls. How's this possible? Jian Kuliuo, the sect leader of the Thousand Spiders celestial sect, was filled with shock and disbelief. The soul pearls that had shattered were the ones hovering next to her. The two soul pearls of the two great overarching golden celestials younger than the age of 100 from the Thousand Spiders celestial sect had shattered at the same time. The expressions of the people from the Thousand Spiders celestial sect, including Liu Yanjun, the supreme elder, darkened immediately. Both of them died? How's this possible? What happened? How did they die? Zhu Xiuqi, who was standing next to Jian Kuliuo, was shocked and puzzled. Meanwhile, the people from the Tai Yi celestial sect and the Martial Dragon celestial sect looked at each other worriedly. Another two people died. What's more, this time it's two great overarching golden celestials. The great overarching golden celestials from the Thousand Spiders celestial sect must have been exploring the little world together. Both of them died at the same time. Is the little world so dangerous? At this moment, they were certain the little world was extremely dangerous. It seemed like Zhifang's death was not as simple as they had thought. With this thought in mind, all of them began to feel worried again. After a while, their attention shifted to Feng Wujiguang's intact soul pearl. They all felt that it was a miracle that he was still alive. In the little world, there was a blizzard, and snow covered the ground as far as the eyes could see. The peaks of the mountains in the distance were covered in snow as well. This was a world of ice and snow. At this moment, two people could be seen hovering in the air above the snow-covered ground. A purple-clad young man held a fiery red ring in his hand. His eyes were bright as he cried out, "There's a response." The young man was none other than Duan Lingtan, and the ring in his hand was the royal grade celestial weapon, the mystical Yang 9 water chestnut ring. Brother Lingtan, you've sensed the mystical Yang 9 water chestnut ring through the mystical Yang 9 water chestnut ring? As usual, Huana was with Duan Lingtan as though she was his shadow. Duan Lingtan replied, "I can feel the mystical Yang 9 water chestnut ring is trying to lead me in a specific direction. It's probably leading me to the mystical Yang 9 water chestnut that Brother Pei asked me to look for." He could clearly feel the mystical Yang 9 water chestnut ring trying to fly out of his hand toward the west. "Let's go then," Huana said with bright eyes. "Okay." Duan Lingtan nodded as he led Huana to the west. Meanwhile, in another place in the little world, the sky had not changed since Feng Wujiguang had arrived here. The sky was painted red all the time as though it was perpetually stuck at the time when the sun was setting. The ground that was littered with black and yellow rocks was red as well. Hum, 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 hum. The humming of a blade rang through the air. A black-clad young man could be seen wielding a blood-red saber. That young man could be Chapter 2810, Mystical Yin 9 Water Chestnut Ring appears. It's here. Duan Lingtan moved in the sky with Huana in tow before he finally came to a halt above a glacier. He looked down at the frozen surface of a lake under his feet. Using his divine consciousness, he discovered the ice on the surface of the lake was more than 10 meters thick. Brother Lingtan, the mystical Yin 9 Water Chestnut Ring is in the lake. Huana's eyes followed the direction of Duan Lingtan's gaze and found the frozen lake. "I think so." Duan Lingtan nodded. The mystical Yang 9 water chestnut ring in his hand was constantly tugging him down as though it desperately wanted to plunge into the frozen lake. At this moment, Huana's expression turned solemn as she looked at the frozen lake under her feet. "Brother Lingtan, I sense a strong aura in the lake. It's comparable to a peak-grade overarching golden celestial." A peak-grade overarching golden celestial. Upon hearing Huana's words, Duan Lingtan shook inwardly. If they were still in the wasteland, it would be easy for him to deal with peak-grade overarching golden celestials. However, it was different in the little world. Not to mention the Seven Orifices exquisite sword was a Duke-grade celestial weapon. Even if it was a King-grade celestial weapon, he was still not an opponent of a peak-grade overarching golden celestial in the little world. 1. After Duan Lingtan's encounter with the stone man in the desert, he had encountered several monsters and beasts with strength comparable to great overarching golden celestials. All of them were superior to the stone man. Even when he unleashed all his strength and wielded the seven orifices exquisite sword, he only came to a draw with them. In the end, Huana had to step in and kill them. Later on, he had encountered a beast comparable to a heaven-rank great overarching golden celestial with a king-grade celestial weapon. Similarly, he was not an opponent for that beast, and Huana had to step in to kill the beast. For this reason, when Huana told him she sensed an existence comparable to a peak-grade overarching golden celestial in the lake, he did not even dare to think about making a move. After all, he knew the thing in the lake could easily crush him. Huana stared at the lake intently. "It's coming." Duan Lingtan narrowed his eyes as he looked at the lake intently as well. Boom! A thunderous noise rang from below, breaking the silence. Duan Lingtan watched as cracks began to appear on the ice on the surface of the lake. The cracks spread more than 10 meters away. Boom! Another deafening noise rang in the air. The cracks expanded further, looking like snakes. Boom! The third time the noise sounded, the cracks had extended to almost a kilometer away. Roar! At this moment, a thunderous roar rang in the air. At the same time, the ice on the lake shattered. The shards from the ice flew in the air in all directions. It was clear that something was attempting to leave the lake. Boom! An even louder noise rang in the air. At this moment, a huge hole appeared on the ice. Huh? Duan Lingtan and Huana were shocked by a small figure that appeared for them. Duan Lingtan had expected the thing that was comparable to a peak great overarching golden celestial to be gigantic in size. After all, the stone man from the desert and all the others he had met were all gigantic. On the other hand, the figure that had just appeared before them was nowhere near as big. Moreover, the figure did not belong to any beast. It was a human. To be more precise, it was a woman dressed in a sky blue robe. She had a delicate and beautiful appearance. He would have been enchanted by her beauty if he did not have a flawless beauty like Huana by his side. Saying that, there was no denying that the woman was still a rare beauty. At the very least, since he had ascended to the Devata realm, the spirit overarching heaven. Huana aside, the only person whose beauty was comparable to this woman was Murong Bing. Even Zushuku was no match for her in regard to beauty. While Duan Lingtan studied the woman standing before him, Huana's voice rang in his ears. "Brother Lingtan, is that the mystical Yin water chestnut ring in her left hand?" The mystical Yin water chestnut ring. Upon hearing this, Duan Lingtan snapped out of his daze. His eyes immediately fell on the woman's left hand. He saw a celestial weapon that greatly resembled the mystical Yang water chestnut ring in his hand. The only difference between the weapons was their colors. While the mystical Yang water chestnut ring was fiery red, the celestial weapon in the woman's hand that resembled the mystical Yang water chestnut ring was azure blue. It emitted a cold aura while the mystical Yang water chestnut ring emitted a hot aura. The mystical Yin water chestnut ring. Duan Lingtan had no doubt the woman held the royal grade celestial weapon, the mystical Yin water chestnut ring, in her hand. This was one of the main reasons he had entered the little world, and it was also the item that Brother Pei, the mysterious young man, had tasked him to look for. Apart from that, Duan Lingtan discovered that when the woman appeared, not only did the mystical Yang water chestnut ring in his hand shone with a bright red light, but the mystical Yin water chestnut ring in the woman's hand shone with a blue light as well. It was clear the two rings had sensed each other's existence and were reacting to each other. Duan Lingtan's eyes were still on the mystical Yin water chestnut ring when the woman looked at Duan Lingtan and Huana. Her slightly fierce gaze finally fell on Duan Lingtan before she asked, "Why do you have the mystical Yang water chestnut ring? What's your relationship with Pei Yuanji?" Duan Lingtan, who had just regained his senses, were stunned by these words. "Brother Lingtan, is Pei Yuanji and Brother Pei the same person?" Huana sent a voice transmission to Duan Lingtan. Duan Lingtan inhaled deeply after he recovered from the shock. He looked at the woman holding the mystical Yin water chestnut ring and said, "I don't know who's Pei Yuanji. However, the royal grade celestial weapon, the mystical Yang water chestnut ring, in my hand is given to me by a young man with the surname Pei. I only know his surname. He was honest with his answer. He gave you the mystical Yang 9 water chestnut ring? The woman seemed taken aback. Her body trembled slightly, and a hint of sadness could be seen in her eyes. It dawned on Yuan Lingtan that the woman had misunderstood his words. He quickly said, "Don't misunderstand. Brother Pei only temporarily gave me the mystical Yang 9 water chestnut ring. After leaving the little world, I'll have to return it to him. He has given me the ring so that it'll help me find the mystical Yang 9 water chestnut ring in the little world. If I'm not mistaken, the ring in your hand is the mystical Yang 9 water chestnut ring, right?" As he spoke, his eyes were trained on the ring that greatly resembled the mystical Yang 9 water chestnut ring. "Yes, it's the mystical Yang 9 water chestnut ring," the woman said with a nod. After a brief moment, she looked at Huana, who was standing next to Yuan Lingtan. "How clever of him to ask a girl with the blood of our Phantom Fox clan to help him retrieve the mystical Yang 9 water chestnut ring." A look of surprise appeared on Huana's face as she asked excitedly, You're from the Phantom Fox clan as well?" "Of course." The woman's robe began to flutter in the air even though there was no wind. In just a beat, the silhouette of a huge fox appeared and shrouded her body. It looked real and illusory at the same time. "She's a phantom fox just like my mother." Huana looked at the phantom fox that shrouded the woman dazedly. "It seems like our meeting is destined. I'll give you a treasure before I leave." As she spoke, the phantom fox figure became more clear. Although the phantom fox looked no different from an ordinary fox, Yuan Lingtan felt chaotic in mind and heart when he looked into the fox's eyes. His heart thumped wildly in his chest as he quickly averted his gaze. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. The phantom fox emitted a gentle white light that swept toward Huana. However, as soon as the light made contact with her, it was immediately repelled. At the same time, the woman said in shock and horror, You're a thousand phantom mice fox. You're a thousand phantom mice